Welcome to an eDemo on creating a role in Victor Unified Client. A role is a set of permissions which is assigned to an operator which governs what they can and cannot do when using Victor. So I'm just going to create a new role then by choosing the Build tab. I'm going to choose Roles and I'm going to choose New. And I'm going to go ahead then and just give my new role a name. And I could also enter a description there if I wanted to do that as well. Okay, so now what we need to do is first of all make a selection on the clients which this role applies to. So you can see we have a list of clients there. We can just simply put a check next to the ones we want this role to apply to. Okay, so moving down then to the role access setup section, you can see the first thing we need to do is make a selection in these two checkboxes. So the two checkboxes are Consolidate ribbon buttons in one tab, and what that's going to do is if this role has few enough buttons, Victor will consolidate all of those buttons into one home tab. So any operator which has this role will not have very few buttons spread across three tabs. They'll all be consolidated into a home tab for them. The second checkbox here is the lock window from closing, and what that's going to do is prevent any operators with this role being able to close the main Victor Unified Client window. So it'll actually remove the close, minimize and restore buttons from the upper right hand corner of the client. Okay, so now we can move down a little bit and we can start to really build up this role. The important thing to note at this point is that this role will begin with full administrative privileges to everything in this system. And anything which we do from this point forward in this roles editor will roll down the editor as we go. So let's take a look at how that happens. So you can see this Allow View All button here. What this does is if we uncheck it, it removes access to everything in the system for this role. So this is a good place to start for any role which you want to have quite few permissions, so you can remove everything and you can start to build it back up for the role. You can see as I've unchecked that, all of the checks have come out of the boxes further down the editor, and if I check it again, all of those checks will come back. We've got a few other system access options here. We can deny deleting everything in the system, we can deny editing, and all of that, as I say, is going to roll down the editor. There's a few other options over to the right. We've got review, still image capture and throttle bandwidth as well. Okay, so let's move down then into the config button access section. You can see in here we have a list of some buttons which will appear in the Victor Unified Client toolbar. We can simply just uncheck the ones we don't want to appear for this role. So you can see Health Dashboard here. If I just uncheck that, that will not appear for this role. Okay, so let's move down then into the device access section, and this is the section where we're really going to start to build up what this role can and cannot do. I'm just going to scroll down to cameras and we can take a look at what we can do in this section. So you'll see on the right hand side we have two buttons. We have type exceptions and we have object exceptions. If I choose the type exceptions button, you'll see we get a pop-up there, and that has some actions which relate to that object type. So what we can do is just deny or allow all of those options against that object type of cameras. And you can see in this example we have the edit box unchecked, and that's because we unchecked the allow edit all button right at the top in the system access section to deny editing to everything in the system. So we can make those selections if we want to. And when we're happy with that, we can just choose OK. Now what we can do is we can open up the Object Exceptions pane. So I'm just going to choose the Object Exceptions button. That's going to bring in a fly-in window, and it's going to have all of the objects of that type in our system listed. And what we can do is make changes to specific object permissions just by selecting them on the left and then using the checkboxes next to the actions on the right. When we're happy, we can choose Close, and that will fly away. Whenever we're happy with the role, we can just choose Save and Close, and then it'll be ready to assign to an operator.